everyone. Welcome to Live Interactive English. This is Karen.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Shane.
Today we're looking at day 2 of Greece, a journey back in time. And the vocabulary words are ferry.
Ferry.
Bruce took a ferry from France to England.
Image.
Image.
The painted image of an old man hung on the living room wall.
Cliff.
Cliff.
Be careful not to stand too close to the edge of the cliff.
Steep.
Steep.
The hill is not easy to climb since it's steep.
Warning.
Warning.
The sound of the alarm is a warning that there may be a burglar in the building.
Remain.
Remain.
Elvis Presley remains my mother's favorite singer.
So Shane, we're still talking about Greece today, right?
That is correct.
And today the writer takes us to different parts of Greece.
Yeah, so now he's going to go visit all those islands. Like before he was on the mainland, and I think if you're going to make a complete trip to Greece, you should go to the mainland first, and then go and travel along the islands.
And there are thousands of them, right? A lot of islands.
Lots of islands. Yeah, so the first place on his itinerary was Mykonos.
Mykonos. And what did he see in Mykonos?
I know in Mykonos, that's like you were saying before, when you think of Greece, you think of these beautiful white and blue buildings in the hills.
That's right, and a clear blue sky, and all you see is so beautiful, and then the colors are so so blue and white.
Yeah, or you can see a nice warm sunset, and it's so relaxing.
I know, so that's islands of Mykonos, right? But basically you can see probably that in many parts of Greece as well, right?
Right, of course, yes. And then he went to Naxos.
Naxos, and what did he see in Naxos? I remember he said there was a town, right, that's set against a wall that looks over the temple of Apollo.
Yeah,
right?
Apollo, one of the famous Greek gods that everybody probably knows.
And I think in this town there's also like a really, really old castle that overlooks, like houses and homes and shops.
Yes.
So it's pretty interesting.
And then finally it goes to Santorini, which is
touristy site, right?
Very touristy place where lots of people go, and usually people a little bit younger will go there and party and have fun, and it's just a really beautiful place. So all the islands are wonderful, and you really need to go and visit.
Okay, I really need to go and visit. I want to learn more about Greece. Okay. So let's go.
All right.
Enjoy.
Let's go together. Bye-bye.
Greece, a journey back in time.
Greece has thousands of islands, and no trip here is complete without a visit to some of them. From Athens, I journeyed by ferry to Mykonos. This island's rocky landscape has a deep yellow color, and the houses are stunning images of blue and white carved into the hills. I strolled into Mykonos town and took in the sunset at the waterfront, with its charming seaside homes hanging over the clear water.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Mike.
And this is Live Interactive English. And we're reading day 2 of our article about Greece called A Journey Back in Time.
That's right. Yes, the Greek mainland, of course, is where a lot of people would go. You have the famous city of Athens. You can visit Sparta, which people might know from the movie 300. But it's really out in the islands that you can especially enjoy the natural beauty of Greece. When we see pictures of Greece with those white rocked islands with the white buildings and the really blue sea, those are the islands that we're talking about there. So as the article says, Greece has thousands, that's right, thousands of islands. Some of them, of course, are very small, but many of them have people living on them. And no trip here, no trip to the country of Greece is complete without a visit to some of them. So if you only go to Athens, it's not quite like visiting Greece because that's just one small part. The islands are really, really beautiful.
From Athens, I journeyed by ferry to Mykonos. Mykonos.
Yes, that's right.
Now, to journey means to go from one place to another. It's essentially the same as travel.
Yeah.
And a ferry is a kind of boat, but it's used to bring you a short distance. So I have an example sentence for ferry. Bruce took a ferry from France to England.
Well, Mykonos, this island, it says, this island's rocky landscape has a deep yellow color. Wow, so the rocks of Mykonos are kind of a yellow color, and the houses are stunning images of blue and white carved into the hills. Yeah, we've seen those houses, blue walls and maybe a round white kind of ceiling, and it makes for a stunning image. Something stunning is amazing or incredible, something that will make you go, and an image is basically just a picture. If you use your camera, you are taking an image, or you can use a pencil or paint to draw or paint an image, as long as it's a picture, something that people can look at and say, oh, that's a building, that's a car, that's a horse. It's an image or a picture. For example, the painted image of an old man hung on the living room wall. So, a painting, an image.
So Mykonos will have a lot of these blue and white buildings. And so our author writes, I strolled into Mykonos town and took in the sunset at the waterfront.
Greek sunsets are some of the most beautiful in the world.
Now the waterfront is where the water meets the land. So it could be a beach or maybe just the coast. And he writes, with its charming seaside homes hanging over the clear water.
Wow.
So of course, seaside is next to the sea. And charming means it gives you the feeling of being really content and satisfied. You really like the way it looks.
Peaceful, attractive, somewhere you'd want to be. You might even say, we should move here. We should live here. It's so charming. It's so attractive to people.
Hanging over the clear water, so I guess it goes a little bit over the coast.
And they have those cliffs and then the water right there. So it's really, really beautiful.
All right, we'll be right back to talk more about our author's trip in Greece after a short break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。在 Day One 的课文里面，我们跟着作者去了雅典，那看到了古安哥拉以及雅典卫城。好，除了历史人文的部分，希腊还有很多的自然美景，毕竟它有数千座的岛屿。那你到希腊旅游，一定要去造访这其中的一些岛屿。像作者他就从雅典搭着渡轮来到米克诺斯岛旅游。好，这座岛屿上的陆地景观，它布满了岩石，而且是呈现深黄色的。那么房屋则是浪漫的蓝色和白色，它嵌在山壁里面，构成很令人惊叹的影像。那我们先来看看这个段落里面的 journey， 它是当动词来用，表示旅行，那意思就跟 travel 是差不多的。再来 ferry 是指渡轮或是渡船，而 image 是指影像、图像。那接着作者就说，他漫步走进这个米克诺斯镇，在水边去欣赏日落，那里还有很迷人的滨海房屋，它悬在清澈的水上。哦，听了真的很想马上飞到那里度假哎。好 ，waterfront 这个字就是表示水边或是滨水区。那我们接着回到课文中。
Greece, a journey back in time.
Next was the island of Naxos. Here I wandered the lanes of Kora, a white town set against a cliff looking out over the ancient gate of the Temple of Apollo. In this town, a castle dating back to the 13th century towers above homes and shops. Members of an ancient noble Venetian family still live there.
So our author went from Mykonos, and then he went to another island. He writes, next was the island of Naxos.
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 Yes.
And here, I, the author, wandered the lanes of Kora, a white town set against the cliff, looking out over the ancient gate of the Temple of Apollo. Now, Apollo was the god of the sun, wasn't he?
That's right, yes.
He would ride his chariot across the sky and bring the sun behind with him.
Absolutely.
And this was the temple, and they had an ancient gate, and from the town set against the cliff, you could look at that gate.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What does it mean to be set against something?
If something's set against it, it basically means it's right next to it. It might be in front of it or beside it, but it's in very close contact. And a cliff, of course, is a rocky sort of wall where the earth drops very, very quickly. If you've ever driven down the east side of Taiwan to places like Hualien or Taidong, you know as you're driving, the road kind of drops away very quickly, and way down below you there's the water down there. And of course, if you fell off, it would be really bad. That's because it's a cliff. Nobody wants to fall off a cliff, and if you're at the edge, you might feel a little bit scary. It's like being on top of a tall building or a tall wall, but it's made of rock. It's a natural thing. For example, be careful not to stand too close to the edge of the cliff. or you could fall off. Which is why they usually have like a wall or a fence or something to, you know.
Good advice to be
Yes.
careful next to a
Don't
cliff.
jump off a cliff unless you have a parachute.
So from that town, you could look at the ancient gate at the Temple of Apollo, and in this town of Kora, a castle dating back to the 13th century, which
Okay.
is after ancient Greece.
Yes, that is. Yep.
It towers above homes and shops. That means
okay.
it's very, very tall. The shops and homes are very short compared to the castle. Now, members of an ancient noble Venetian family still live there.
Still live there, even today.
Yeah. Now, a Venetian refers to the city of Venice, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Which is actually in Italy.
That's right.
But they had a castle at Kora, and members of this ancient family still live in the castle. So
Interesting.
that's a little part of inter-country European history. For
Yeah,
you.
well, Venice used to be a very powerful city-state, and they, controlled a lot of the Mediterranean. So this lucky family bought a castle, and even luckier, they still live there today.
I want a castle.
I want to be friends with that family. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more from the Greek islands.
下一站来到纳克索斯岛，作者在克拉镇的街道上闲晃。那在这个白色小镇呢，它其实是靠着悬崖，你从这里可以去眺望阿波罗神庙的古门。阿波罗 （Apollo） 这是希腊神话里面的太阳神。那这边有一个单字是 cliff， 是指悬崖，尤其是指在海边的那种悬崖。而片语 set against 加上名词，就表示靠着某事物。好，课文就接着提到说，在这个小镇上啊，有一座城堡屹立在住家跟商店的上方。那这座城堡它可以追溯到13世纪的时候，当时有一个古老的威尼斯贵族，他们在这边建立了城堡。那他的后人到现在都还住在那个城堡里耶。Tower 这个字它具有塔楼、高楼的意思，可是，在课文里面是当动词，就表示高耸屹立。那么 Venetian 就是形容威尼斯的或是威尼斯人的。好，我们接着回到课文中。
Greece, a journey back in time.
My final stop was Santorini, an island famed for its tall seaside cliffs. Cut into the cliffs at the town of Fira are steep steps that lead toward the old port. As in the old days, muleteers ride up and down these steps on their donkeys, calling out warnings to passers-by. It's just one more way history remains alive in Greece.
And then our author continued on, and he writes, my final stop was Santorini,
Ah, Santorini!
an island famed for its tall seaside cliffs. Now, as you mentioned, a cliff is where the ground drops down suddenly, especially from a mountain. So it's a tall seaside cliff, and this island is famous for it.
Right, cut into the cliffs at the town of Fira are steep steps that lead toward the old port. Okay, so it's actually cut into the rock wall, cut into the cliffs. They will even have buildings that are not actually buildings, they're just like caves. They're just like something that people have cut into the rock and made to look like a wall and a window and a door, but it's not made out of wood or stone. Well, it's made out of stone. The mountain, that's what it's made out of. And this is the town of Fira, which is the biggest town in this island, which is not a very big island. And because there's cliffs and water, it's very steep. As you can see, steep means there's a high angle. If you're walking up a hill and it's kind of like this, well, that won't be so hard. But as it gets higher and higher, your legs start to hurt more. And as it gets really high, you'll have to use your hands to pull you up. That's because it's getting more and more steep. For example, the hill is not easy to climb since it's steep. And once it gets too steep, they have to use ropes and things to pull themselves up. Well, these are not ropes, these are steps, but still, they go up quite quickly. So I think your legs would get a pretty good workout if you were walking around this place. The city's up at the top, and the port where the boats come in, and of course boats and fishing and all that kind of stuff is really important in Greece. That's down at the bottom, so the fishermen must get a good workout.
Oh, yeah.
Carrying all their fish up to the restaurants.
Sure. Well, actually, as in the old days, muleteers ride up and down these steps on their donkeys.
Those Greek fishermen are smart. They don't do the work. The mules do. What is a mule?
It's the cross between a horse and a donkey, isn't it?
I think it is something like that. Donkeys, of course, are a little smaller than horses. They go, and they're famous for being able to carry a lot of heavy things. In this case, I guess they're carrying fish and things like that. And the drivers of the donkeys, the people who control them and tell them to stop or go take care of them, are called muleteers. That's the name of that job. So they're riding the donkeys and they're calling out warnings to passersby. A warning is basically a message telling you that there's some kind of danger. If you want to be safe, if you want to be careful, you have to pay attention. For example, the sound of the alarm is a warning that there may be a burglar in the building. And passersby are people walking.
Yes.
So I guess people, tourists are there with their cameras, kind of not really looking, and the muleteers are, hey, look out, get out of the way, because they don't want people to get hurt.
Yeah. And it's just one more way history remains alive in Greece. To remain means to stay a certain way for a long time. For example, Elvis Presley remains my mother's favorite singer.
Oh, thank you very much.
So history remains alive in Greece in many ways, in its buildings, its monuments, and in its traditions. So if you ever have the opportunity to visit Greece and its islands, you can see that for yourself. That's all the time we have for today, but join us next time for another interesting article. Bye.
最后一站来到圣托里尼这一座岛屿呢，它是以它的海边高耸的悬崖闻名。那有一条很陡峭的阶梯，从费拉镇的悬崖一路延伸到旧港口。那就像在古代一样，赶罗人他们会骑着驴子在这些阶梯之间穿梭，上下穿梭，然后一边还大喊警告，要路人让开。这其实也算是历史在希腊流传的另外一种面貌。那我们先来看看 donkey 就是驴子。Mule 是骡，它是由马跟驴子生出来的物种。那么课文里面的 muleteer 就是骡夫赶骡的人。好，再来看单字 steep， 它是形容很陡峭的。那么警告的英文是 warn， W-A-R-N warn。我们在它的字尾加上 ing 就变成名词 warning， 就表示警告或是警报。好，再来看 remain 这个动词，它就跟 stay 很接近，就表示仍然是什么样的状态，保持着什么样的状态。好，最后来看路人跟行人的英文是 passerby， 那我们要特别注意它的复数形式是要在 passer 跟 by 的中间加上 s， 变成 passersby。好啦，那以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Hello， 又到了 Grammar Express 的单元，我是 Yvette。读到文章的一开头 ，Greece has thousands of islands, and no trip here is complete without a visit to some of them。希腊有数千座岛屿，到这里旅游绝对要去造访其中的一些岛。这个句子里用到 no 和 without 双重否定，字面上的意思是没有什么就不完整，强调一定要有。No meal is complete without a dessert。一餐中一定要有甜点才行。同一段的最后 I strolled into Mykonos town and took in the sunset at the waterfront, with its charming seaside homes hanging over the clear water。我漫步走进米克诺斯镇，并在水边欣赏日落，那里迷人的滨海屋舍就悬浮在清澈的水上。With 加上受词加受词补语，用来表示一个和主要子句同时存在的附带状况，也就是文章里的用法。有时候用来表示原因。受词补语的形式可以是现在分词、过去分词、介系词片语或者是形容词。The little girl cried with people looking at her。小女孩哭了，因为大家都盯着她看。The old man talked with his eyes closed。那位老人说话的时候闭着眼睛。She cannot go out with the children sick。她不能在孩子们生病的时候出门。我的最后一站是圣托里尼，这个岛屿以海边高耸的悬崖著名。My final stop was Santorini, an island famed for its tall seaside cliffs. Famed 是形容词，指因为某项好的特质而闻名或著名的。Be famed for 加上名词或动名词，是指以什么而闻名。 文章里的 famed 前面省略了 which is， 要表达相同的意思，这个形容词 famed 还可以代换成 famous 或者是 known。The city is famed for its seafood， 这个城市以海鲜闻名。Susan is known for her knitting skills， Susan 以编织的技巧闻名。以上就是今天的 Grammar Express， 谢谢收看，拜拜。
3, 2, 1, action!
Marty 回到过去1965年，挺身而出，打败了恶霸 Biff， 让所有的女孩都崇拜他英勇的行径，其中也包括自己的妈妈。
Get out of here, Biff!
You know, you are the first person who's ever given Biff a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, that was not.
Marty, this may seem a little forward, but I was hoping you can take me to the school dance on Saturday.
Well, funny you should bring that up because you know who really wants to take you, and I really think you'd hit it off with him. It is George McFly.
Yeah, he asked me, but I turned him down.
You did what? I mean, why would you do that? He's not
George
guy.
just isn't my type. He's sort of cute and all, but he's such a a chicken. I think a man should be strong so he can protect the woman he loves. Don't you?
Yeah.
So, would you take me to a school dance?
Okay.
哇，妈妈差点爱上儿子哦！那个 Lorraine 问这个 Marty 说 ，You're the first person who's ever given Biff a taste of his own medicine. A taste of someone's own medicine 就是让某人自食其果，或是以其人之道还治其人之身的意思。OK， 你是第一个让 Biff 让他自食其果，以其人之道还治其人之身。然后呢，接下来妈妈要做什么呢？她说 ，Marty, this may seem a little forward, but I was hoping you could take me to the school dance. 她说我知道这有一点点，我现在这样子做呢，现在约你是有一点点早熟，太早，提早 forward F-O-R-W-A-R-D forward 就是有早的、提前的，也有早熟的意思。它这边的用法比较像说，哦，我希望你不要觉得我太直接，太直接就约你出去玩，出去这个要你约我出来跳舞的意思。好，我们接下来呢看到了 Saturday 可以 going to the school dance on Saturday， 然后呢，可是他说他才不要带他妈妈，他要他妈媽跟他爸爸一起这样子，对不对？这样才能跟生下来。所以他就说 I think you should go with George， 你应该跟 George 一起去。I really think you'd hit it off with him is with George McFly. Hit it off with somebody 就是跟某人处得来、合得来的意思。我觉得你跟 George 应该会很合哦，会很合。可是他，然后那个妈妈就说，他已经问过我，可是我拒绝他了。啊，你怎么会拒绝他呢？他说 George isn't my type， 他根本就不是我的菜。He's sort of cute， 他有点可爱啦。可是他他有一点，你知道，他就是很 chicken， 他是只鸡。不是，这边就是骂他很懦弱的意思。他有一点懦弱，因为他妈妈比较喜欢那种 man 的 man， 就像他的儿子一样。哇，妈妈爱上儿子，这还得了？接下来还会有什么精彩的发展呢？请继续收看英文龙卷风。